Good afternoon and welcome to ZK BioTime Intermediate Training. My name is Rotondam Burawa and I am the training facilitator here at ZKTeco. So I am the one going to give you the training this afternoon. Okay, so if you can hear me clearly from that side, may you please let me know on the chat box so that we can start with the training. Good afternoon once more. I hope you can hear me clearly from your side. So I will be starting with the training, and if you have any questions or any comments, may you please let me know on the chat box. Okay, so I will be sharing the agenda that we are going to cover on today's training. We did the basic training on Tuesday. So now we are going to look at the intermediate training, as I said. So I am going to share the agenda that we're going to cover on the training today. Okay. So if you remember on the basic training on Tuesday, I said on the intermediate training, we're basically going to look at the attendance module, okay? So this is what we're going to look at on today's training. We are going to look at the setup that is under the attendance module. So we will look at the fixed code and the pay code. So there's nothing much to explain on that, but I will just show you where you can add if, for example, you want to add another pay code or there's something else that you would like to add, how do you add that? So I will show you there. And also we'll look at the rule. So here we're going to set up a rule. We have the global rule, the department rule, and the group rule. So all these rules are set up the same way. The difference is that the department rule is only set for a certain department, while the group rule will only be set for a certain group. Okay, and then the global rule there is set for everyone in the company. And then we will look at shift. So under shift, this is where we're going to add a break time. We are going to add a timetable and we will link that timetable to a shift. And I am also going to show you how you assign a shift to your employees. You can assign for a department as a whole, you can assign for a group, you can also assign for an employee. And you can also assign a temporary schedule for an employee. So we are also going to look at that. And then we also look at a schedule preview, so you can view by person. So that is what we're basically going to look at. How do you view a schedule, or how do you see that this person has been scheduled for this shift or on this shift? So we will also look at that. And then we're also going to look at approvals. So under approvals, this is where you add your manual log. This is where you add your leave if you want to apply a leave for someone, or if you would like to apply for your overtime. So I will show you also how we're going to go about that. And then benefit management, this is where you can add a leave group and also a holiday. So we will also go through all that. Transaction report. Okay, so this is one of the reports that you can get. So the transaction report you will hear, you will also see that transaction, this will be everything that transpired on the device. All the logs that are there on the device, the transaction that transpired, the clocking in and clocking out will be seen on this report. So we're also going to look at that. And we will look at configuration, where we have to calculate before we get the daily, weekly, monthly, and the summary report. So this is basically what we are going to look at on today's training. So I am going to log in straight to the software so that we can start. Okay, on the login, I'm not going to explain anything because I did explain this on the basic training. So I am quickly going to log in there. Okay. So as I said, we are going straight to the attendance module, okay? Okay, so on the setup, this is the first thing that you will see when you open your attendance module, okay? So we have the pay code. Okay, on the pay code, you'll see that you have your, the names of it might be regular, it might be late in. So these are the, I would say, words that are used on the software or on the attendance part. And you also have the codes there. So these are the codes that stand for this. So this is just to show you that this code this code stands for regular. L stands for late in. E stands for this. Okay, so you can add, let's say, for example, you want to add something like a business trip. So some of the codes can be added, and you can also using minutes, or are you also going to use hours and minutes? So you can also set that up. Let's say, for example, you have something else that you want to add, or maybe you would like to add, if it's a business trip, or you want to add something, or you have another leave that is not there on the software and you would like to add it. So it gives you that option to add your leave if you want to add a leave. Let's say, for example, you have a leave called, what can we say? Because we have all the leaves there. So we can just say, I'm just going to give you an example, ABC. So this is a leave, right? ABC there. And then that is a code. And then let's say the type there, you can state if this is going to be regular, overtime, or leave. So let's say this one is a leave, right? And then you can set that up. Is it going to be calculated per hour using minutes, or are you going to use minutes and hours? So you can also select that. Okay, let's say it's going to be calculated hourly, and then you can give a name of the code that you've just given there. Okay, so I'm just going to say test. I'm going to delete this at the later stage. And then here you click on confirm to save. Can you see that you can also add here? Okay, so I'm not sure if we can. Okay, let's just go up there to 20 records so that you can see. Can you see I've added that ABC code, and then the name there is test, and it is a leave, and it will be calculated per hour. So this order here, but I just wanted to show you that you can still add your own pay code. Okay, pay code name, pay code, the code of that name that you've just given there. Okay, so you can also delete it. If you want to delete, you just click on this is to edit. So if you want to delete, you just click on that, and then you click on confirm to save. Okay, so you also have a fixed code. So here you cannot add. Okay, so these are fixed codes. Total hours, worked hours, it cannot be deleted. You cannot add on this field. Okay, then we also have groups. So on the group, this is where you can add different groups that you have, and you can also link personnel to this group. When we go to the rule, when you set up a group rule, you will be setting up a group rule of the groups that you've just added here. Okay, so how do you add those groups? You go to group, and then you can add a group there. Let's say you have a group of constructors or people working for construction. Okay, so let's say construction there, or contractors, or yeah, let's just say construction. And then, oh, that is the code. Let's say the code is code number 5, and then here contractors. Okay, and then you click on confirm. Okay, so you've created a group called contractors there. And if you would like to add your employees, obviously you would have already added your employees in the software, which means that if you want to add personnel on this group, what you do is you go to that group, you add or do a personnel transfer. You can select whoever you want to add there. Okay, and then you click on confirm. You can see now that you have 3 contractors that fall under this group, okay, or 3 people falling under the group called contractors. So if you want to select, or you want to create the rule for only these people, you will go to your rule, okay, and then you go to your group rule. Instead of setting up a global rule there, you will set a group rule only for those people there, okay. So under the rule, this is a step-by-step process. What you need to start with when you're working with the attendance module is you need to set up the rule. First of all, you need to understand the basic concept, which is knowing what times people have to come in or have to clock in. You have to know the actual break times that they have. You have to know the overtime they work. You have to know the shifts, how the shifts work. So before you start working with the attendance module, those are the things that you need to know. How many people are there in the company? Are they going to be set in different departments or groups? Are they going to work the same way? Is it going to be the same shift? Or do they work different shifts? Okay. Do they work weekends? Do they work overtime? So those are the information, or that is the information that you need to gather, or as a person who's going to do a setup on the attendance module on BioTime software. Okay, so we're going to start with the global rule. Okay, on the global rule, what you need to set up here is the weekend. Okay, the first thing that you need to set up under the basic settings is the weekend days. Okay, so in a case where, for example, you'll be working weekends as overtime, all right, your weekend days obviously are Saturday and Sunday. So you will leave that set up the same way that you see here, right? And then you can set a color. So the color coding there is just to show you on the calendar view that this color stands for Saturday, this color stands for Sunday, okay? So you can select the color. You can also click on the drop-down arrow there if you would like to change the color to another color like that, okay? So under the basic settings, that is all that you need to set up. And the next thing is the rule for non-scheduled days. Okay, most of the time, people do not have, or they do not have to set this up unless you know that there are days where you will call your employees in to come and work on the days that they were not scheduled. Let's say, for example, your employees come as only supposed to work from Monday to Friday, right? And let's say, for example, you want them to come and work on Saturday and they are not scheduled, or their time or their working day or working hours are not included on Saturdays, okay? If you want them to come and work, you can also set that as a non-scheduled day, or you can set that weekend as overtime, okay? If they come work for overtime, then if you set your overtime, then there's no need for you to set non-scheduled days, okay? But if you want to set the non-scheduled days instead of the weekend overtime, you can also do that for all the days that those people are not scheduled. So if, for example, they will be working as overtime on those non-scheduled days, what is the maximum hour they're supposed to work on that day, okay? So if it's a normal working day as well, then you can also set up how many hours they're supposed to work. Let's say they're supposed to work for 6 hours, or let's say 8 hours, okay? Then the 8 hours that they're supposed to work, are they going to work as overtime? Are they going to work as normal working hours? So that also will depend on the rules that you did set up for the company, okay? And then you have day change time. So this is just to show that the day changes at midnight. And then you have your pairing rule. The pairing rule there will apply on the clockings, okay? Do you only want to see the clockings on your reports, the first and last clocking? And that will only be applicable for non-scheduled days. Is it only going to be the first and last? So on the first and last clocking, you only see the first clocking a person does in the morning when they clock in, and the last clocking they do when they clock out. So in between the first and last, maybe they did clock in while going to the toilets or somewhere else. But if you select the first and last clocking, then you won't be able to see any clocking that transpired in between the two clockings, which is the first and the last, okay? And you also have odd even, okay? So on the odd even, it doesn't, it is not the same as the first and last. Here, they are allowed to select any punch state that is there on the device, Okay, it doesn't matter if it's break out, break in, so it will be um, distributed in an odd way on your report, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then you also have punch state based. So if you want your report to be designed in a way that you only want to see the first and the punch state based, it means that you want them to select the check-in. Let's say, for example, on all the devices there, we have punch states on the device that are meant for time and attendance. You will be able to select check-in when you check in, check out when you check out. And we also have an automatic. Let's say, for example, you just want the device to automatically change to check out at a certain time. So you can also do that. Okay, you can also set this up on the actual device itself. So these are the pairing rules that we have. And we also have the daily overtime. So the daily overtime for that non-scheduled days. So this is only for non-scheduled days. So the daily overtime, that if you disable it, you won't see the overtime day. If you enable that, you will be able to see the work hour assigned to, let's say, for example, if a person did come and work on the non-scheduled days, how many hours are they supposed to work? We've put in 8 there. So if they're going to work as overtime, so you can select, are they going to work as regular working hours? Are they going to work as normal overtime? Is it going to be weekend overtime, holiday overtime, overtime 1, 2, 3, etc. So if you want them to work as overtime, starting from the first hour they work, what you need to do is you can select the overtime there. Let's say we want it to be a normal overtime, okay? And then if they work on the non-scheduled days, you want them to work a maximum hour of 8 hours, okay? So it will start at 8, from 0, it ranges from 0 up until 8. So that will show you, even though a person worked an hour, it will show you that this person worked an hour overtime on this day. Okay, so if you want all the hours to be displayed on the report, you should start on a 0 range up until the maximum hour that a person is supposed to work. All right. And when you're done with this, you can also set up, if you want to set up another overtime, but I don't think that is necessary because you already set up the maximum hour up until 8, unless you would like to divide your overtime into different levels, like overtime 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so the next thing is overtime rule. Okay, so this is very much important. On the overtime rule, let's say, for example, they're supposed to work weekend overtime. Okay, this is where you're going to set your weekend overtime. Remember, weekend is Saturday and Sunday. So in a case where, for example, you're working Monday to Saturday, you set up Sunday as the only weekend that you have. Okay, so you go back to your rule and your basic settings and remove Saturday, which means that Sunday is the only weekend day that you have. And if you want to set up your weekend overtime, right? Let's say from the minute they work, it is supposed to be counted as overtime. Then you will set up according to the maximum hour they are supposed to work on that weekend. Okay, so if they're supposed to work 10 hours during weekend, or 8 hours during weekend, or 12 hours, as I said, you start from a range 0 up until 12. Okay, so it means that even though a person worked 10 hours, 8 hours, you will be able to see on your report that this person worked 8 hours, this person worked 7 hours, this person worked 6 hours, and you will pay them according to the hours they worked as overtime. So you don't restrict people to, or you don't force people to work the whole 12 hours. You just want to see how many hours they worked as overtime, and they will be paid according to their overtime or the overtime they worked on that day. Okay, that is the weekend overtime. So same applies to a holiday overtime. On a holiday overtime, this is where you also set up, if they come and work on holidays, if you allow them to come and work on holidays, what is the maximum hour that they're supposed to work? How many hours are they supposed to work on that particular holiday? So what you do is you set up your holiday overtime here. Let's say, for example, on holidays, they're only supposed to come and work 8 hours. Okay, so if they're supposed to come and work 8 hours there, You can put it from 0 until 8. So if someone works over 8, then that is their own problem. You will only pay them from 1 hour up until 8 hours. Okay? So setting up your overtime, it is like that. So it will be different in a case where you want to set up a daily overtime. A daily overtime in a case where, for example, you're working Monday to Friday and you would also want them to be paid for overtime if they stayed behind and worked for extra hours, or they came early and you want them to work for those extra hours, or to be paid for the extra hours they were at work or they worked. Okay. So on the weekly overtime, this will be calculated weekly, which I do not advise you to do. This you can just disable, and you can set your overtime, your daily overtime, on the timetable, which I'm going to show you. Okay, so that you won't confuse yourself with this weekly overtime. Okay, so we've set up the weekend overtime and the holiday overtime. So the next thing that we are going to do now is the calculation settings. So the calculation settings will depend on the rules that are set for the company. Okay, when a person is late and the hours exceeds these hours that are set here, this person will be calculated as if they were absent. So that is why I say this will differ according to the company, or according to the rules that were set for the company. When early leave exceeds this time, so if a person leaves early and before, let's say for example, before the actual time they leave early, then this will be counted as absent. So you will set that according to the rules that you want to set up. Okay, I'm not going to go through all that. Or let's say, for example, if you were supposed to come in at work at 8 o'clock and clock out at 5, and you clock out maybe 2 hours before, and then all the people that clock out maybe earlier than 60 minutes earlier, then they're going to be counted as absent. Then you know that if you clock out by 4, you were supposed to clock out by 5, then you're going to be counted as absent. Okay. And then missing check-in. Okay. So if a person forgot to check in, are they going to be calculated as late? Are they going to be counted as if they were absent, or is it going to be incomplete? So on the incomplete part, this will just be blank on the report. So you just have a blank space just to see that this person did not, or they forgot to clock in. But if you say late, right, it means that you can select there. If a person did not clock in, then they will be counted as if they were 30 minutes late. Okay, that is a basic rule. So if everyone that does not clock in will be counted as if they were 30 minutes late. That is what you're going to see on the report. So if you forgot to clock in, when you go to the report of someone who did not clock in, then it will say that this person on Monday, the 6th, this person forgot to clock in, then he or she was 30 minutes late. Okay. And then missing check out as, okay, is it going to be calculated as if this person left early, absent, or incomplete? So if you select left or the early leave, it means that you will say maybe they left early by 30 minutes. So if this person did not clock out, on the report, it is going to be on the early leave section, then you will see that this person left early by 30 minutes. So that is basically what this is all about. And then the next thing is, if you have linked your software with an app, this is what you're going to see, okay? Capture, punch state, and work code. So if you want to enable the work code, or if you use work codes, you can enable that one. Capture, okay? In a case where, for example, you would like a picture to be taken when a person using an app clocks in or clocks out, then you can activate that. Punch state. So this enables a person using the app to be able to see on the app the different punch states that are there. If it's clock out, they can select clock out. If it's clock in, they will be able to select clock in. Okay. And then the attendance alert settings. So attendance alert settings, they are If, for example, you would like a notification or emails to be sent to you each and every time a person is late or has exceeded these hours, and then they came late, or they are late maybe more than 7 times, okay, or they left early more than maybe 7 times again, and when the number of absent exceeds 3 times, okay, if this person is absent for more than 3 days, maybe without even notifying you, then you should see on your emails, or are you going to send this frequently, yes or no, daily, weekly, or monthly? Do you want it daily? And then on the first day, if it's daily, it will be that day, the first day. If it's weekly, then you can select which day of the week. If it's monthly, you can also select the. Okay, so if it's weekly, you can select, do you want the report to be sent to you on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday and Friday? And then at what time? Okay, so you can also select the time there. And then when you're done with everything there, what you do is you save. Okay. So here, everything is saved. Okay. So the next thing is, I'm just going to show you how the department rule looks like, but I'm not going to go back again and show you the unscheduled time settings and everything, because it is the same. So as I said, the department rule will only be for a certain department. So if you go and click on add, you will be able to see the different departments that you have there. So if you select repairs, right, you're going to set up this rule for repairs. So if, for example, we're going to set up weekend 1 as Saturday, weekend 2 as Sunday, okay, you select the different color there, and then your different color, confirm, and then duplicate punch 1, okay? So the duplicate punch there is when you want to prevent duplicate punches on the report. So you can set up a duplicate punch. Like you want people to, when they punch in, they should again punch in after 3 minutes. Okay, and then rule for non-scheduled days, can you see that it is still the same? Overtime rule, you can enable or disable calculation and everything. So it is still the same, but you can just add for a certain department. So if you click on confirm there, you will see that you've added a rule for the repairs department. Can you see? Okay, so you can also delete that if you want to do so. So I just want to show you that you can add a rule for a certain department. You can add a rule for a certain group. If you go to add, for example, you can add according to the groups that you have. And it is still the same as what I've just explained to you on the global rule and also on the department rule. So I'm not going to go through all that again. Okay, and then we are done with the rule now. So the first thing is setting up the rule. The second thing is you go to your shift. You are going to now add your break times. Okay, so you have all the information that you're required to have. You know which break times they take. You know that for the people that clock in 7 to maybe 4, they have to take break between 1 and 2, or they have to take break between 12 and 1, or they have a 30 minutes lunch, or 15 minutes tea break. So that is the information that you need. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a break time. Okay. So the break time that we're going to add, you click on add there. We already have a lot of break times there. So let's say this break time is for contractors. Okay. Contractors. I'm just giving an example. You can give it any name of your choice. And on this break, we want these people, we don't want it to be automatically deducted. We don't want the hour or the 30 minutes to be automatically deducted from the employees' working hours. Okay. So we want them to punch each and every time they go for their break and come back for their break, so that we can see how long they went to their break. Okay. So here you need to set up the start time. So this software gives you an exception. Let's say, for example, you want people to take different lunch. Let's say support department, for example, we also do this here. We have 2 maybe technicians taking lunch at 12 to 1, We have other technicians taking from 1 to 2. Okay, so you can also do that here. Let's say the lunch starts at 12 and it ends at 2. Okay, but the duration of the lunch will be 60 minutes. So it doesn't matter what time you take your lunch. Is it 12 to 1 or from 1 to 12 to 2? But you have to take your 60 minutes. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. So when you go to your rule setting, punch state based, you will say, yes, we want these people to punch, right? And then punch settings. So what is the minimum break time that they're supposed to take? So I'm not going to put in there. It doesn't really matter. And then early in, okay? Early in there. If they come in a bit early by 10 minutes, are they going to be, is that going to be assigned to overtime? So it will depend on how many or how you want to set that up. But I'm not going to entertain that. I don't think a lot of people do entertain that. If a person came early, by 8 minutes, I hope it's still going to be calculated as regular working hours. Okay, so I'm not going to entertain that one. Okay, so late in, so this can be entertained. Let's say this one, late in, they come late from their lunch by 15 minutes. Okay, is it going to be assigned as if they came late? So I will say late. Okay, so it will notify me that this person has came late from their lunch by 15 minutes. Okay, and then we save. So we have our lunch there. That is the break time that we have. Okay, so after adding your break time, what do you do next? We're going to link this break time to our timetable. Okay, the next thing that you do is to add a timetable. So you click on your timetable there. Okay, and then you add. So we have two different types of timetables. We have a normal timetable, we have a flexible timetable. So a normal timetable, this is where you will restrict people what time they have to clock in, what time they have to clock out. What is the time they have to take break? So the flexible timetable, on the other hand, doesn't restrict people to go to breaks. You won't even have an opportunity to link the timetable with a break because it cannot be linked with any break. So this is in a case where, for example, you have people working maybe for construction sites, okay? You don't restrict them from going to lunch. They can take lunch at whatever time they want. So you can use a flexible timetable, okay? So let us start with a normal timetable. So on a normal timetable, let's say this timetable is let's say 8 a.m. I'm just giving an example here. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, 5 p.m. Okay, so that is the timetable that we have. And the basic settings. So under the basic settings, you're going to set up what time are they supposed to come in at work. So they have to clock in at 8, confirm, okay, and they're supposed to clock out at 5, okay. So after that, the check-in start time. What time are they supposed to start checking in? This is for the people that might come a bit early than the actual clock-in time, okay? So you'll put in there how many hours they're supposed to clock in before the actual clock-in time. So you can put in maybe 7:45, 8. It will depend on how you want to set it up. So I'm just going to leave it as 1 hour before the actual clock-in time. Okay, and then check out time, check out start time. So for people that might leave a bit early than the actual time there, okay? So I'm going to leave it as 1 hour early, okay? So here, you need to make sure that you put in the correct time because for all the employees that might come a bit early, let's say they come earlier than 7, okay? If you made it strict 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock here, then you won't be able to see the clockings of the people that clocked in before that time because your timetable is strictly saying that the check-in start time is exactly 8 o'clock. So you have to be very careful when you put that in there, okay? The check-in end time. So for the check-in end time there, this is for the people that might come a bit late. What time are they supposed to clock in, or what is the end time they're supposed to clock in. So I will leave it as 1 hour after the actual clock in time, and check out end time. So if you want, or you have your daily overtime and people stay behind and work until maybe 12 or 11 at night, okay, you may have to make that time there. You change it there, let's say 11, okay, and then you can set up your color there, the color of your timetable, okay. So let's put in a green there, and then you confirm, okay. So that is just to show you on a calendar view that this person has been scheduled for on this timetable, okay. And then your break time. So now we're going to link our timetable with a break. So I'm going to select that break here, okay. So you just take on the break and then you link it with your own timetable. So we have unscheduled time settings, okay. So on unscheduled time settings, if you want people that stayed behind to work, or if people came a bit early to work for overtime, it will depend on, are you going to calculate your overtime as people that came early or people that came late or that left late, okay. So let's say early in, okay. So early in is going to be assigned to a normal overtime in a case where a person, the minimum time a person has to work, okay. So this will be calculated as, if a person worked for maybe 30 minutes, then you're going to calculate it as overtime, okay. So I'm just going to say 30 minutes there. So it means that a person should be counted as normal overtime if they worked 30 minutes and above, okay. So if they worked less than 30 minutes, then they're not going to be calculated as overtime. So late out, okay, so late out again, we're going to say it's a normal overtime, and we're also going to calculate it if a person left after or the 30 minutes after the actual clock out time, then you're going to calculate that as overtime. You can make it an hour, you can make it 2 hours. So it will depend on how you want to set that up, okay? And then the next thing is overtime. So this is your daily overtime. Overtime from Monday to Friday, if you're going to assign people on this timetable from Monday to Friday, then you're going to set up your overtime day. So if you calculate from 8 until 5, and you have 1 hour break. So the calculation says it is supposed to be 9 hours, but we remove the 1 hour as break, okay? Which means that those hours will start from 8. So we want to calculate from 8 hours, from the 8 hours that a person is supposed to work, okay? Then up to, let's say up to 20 hours. Okay, so a person can still work over 8 hours. So that when they start working over 8 hours, each and every minute after 8 hours, but it should be 30 minutes and above, then it will be calculated as overtime until the 20 hours. So if a person worked until 20 hours, then that will be calculated as overtime. So the difference between this and a weekly overtime, weekend overtime that we did set up there, is this one, the 8 hours is counted as normal working hours. And then anything after 8 o'clock will be calculated as overtime. I hope you get me on that one. Okay, if they're supposed to work 10 hours working hours, okay, it means that you will start from 10 going up. Okay, and then you have your rule settings. So rule settings must clock in. Clock in is required, yes, obviously. Allow late in, so I'm not going to put in anything there. Allow late in by this minute. So it will still show you even though you did not set this up, because you put in the time there. If a person came late, it will show you by this minutes. This minutes, a person is late by this minutes, okay? So I will show you on the report what I am talking about. So punch state based, yes or no, okay? And then this you can ignore. You click on confirm to save, okay? So that is the timetable that we've just added. So on each and every timetable, this is how you're going to set up. But if you have complicated shifts and you don't know the actual times people clock in, you can go for a flexible timetable, but just know that on a flexible timetable, there's no break, okay? You're not going to link your timetable with lunch. You can only see the clock in and clock out, and also the overtime can also be seen on this one. Okay, so let's say this one here, it's a flexible timetable, flexi. So the check-in and check-out can be from today midnight to tomorrow midnight. That's still fine. So it crosses over to the next day because it's midnight today, and it crosses over to midnight tomorrow. Okay, and then how many hours are these people supposed to work? If it's 480, I think it's total 8 hours. If it's 540, it's 9 hours. So you can state how many hours they're supposed to work between this range. Okay, so when they clock in, you will be able to see that this person clocked in at 7 o'clock and they clocked out at 7 years tomorrow. But it will also calculate the hours, total hours worked. So you will have your work time, which was the hours they're supposed to work compared to the actual time they worked. Then you will see that did they work the normal hour, or did they work extra hours? So if you want to also set up an overtime for these people that maybe worked over, then you can also add your overtime here. Okay, you can set your overtime if they worked 8 hours and above, because that is 8 hours. So it means that this will also start from 8 hours going up to, let's say, 24 hours. Okay, and then you save. So setting up this is still the same way. You will be able to see that the work total is 480. Here is 540 because we have the break time, which is 60 minutes. Okay, and here, when you're done with your timetable, okay, you are now going to link this timetable to a shift. Okay, so on the shift day, what you need to do is you're going to add. You add a shift, and then you're going to give your shift a name. Let's say day shift. Okay, day shift, and this you can add 2 different timetables on one shift. Okay, but I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this timetable here from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if you would like to add a flexible timetable for Saturday, you can do so. If you want to add it for Sunday, you can also do so. Okay, and cycle unit. So this day shift will cycle per week. So I advise you to use a week instead of a day and a month. So if it's a week, you can say a 1 week cycle, and it will just cycle according to how many, the start date and the end date. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So we said this will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we click on confirm. So the next thing, we've added that time, the shift. The next thing that we do is to assign. So when you assign, this is where you're going to put in the start date and the end date. How long are you going to assign that person on the same shift? So what you do is, I prefer the employee schedule. Okay, I'll also show you the department schedule there. So if you go for the employee schedule, you click on there, you can select, I'm just going to select a few people there. There's people here. You can select the people that you want to add on that shift, and you can state, do you want to schedule this person from the 1st of March until the end of March? Or if they're going to work on the same shift for until 2025, you can also put in the 2025. Okay, so this will cycle according to the cycle that you put in. So if it's 1 week cycle, it will cycle again the next week. It will cycle again the next week. So it doesn't stop because you selected 1 week cycle. Okay, so I'm going to assign these people on this time, and then select that shift, and then click on confirm. So that is how you assign people on a shift. You can assign per department. Which means that you can also, you just get add a department. Let's say the department that we're going to add is the management. So you just select that, and then you add them on a shift. You click on confirm, just like that. Okay. So you can assign per department and also per group. You just have to add, and then you can add the group that you have there. See? From this date to this date. So you can schedule, this is the same way. If you know how to schedule using a department or the employee, then you will be good to go. Okay. So the most important thing is you should know that we start with setting up the rule. We go to the break times, we go to the timetable, and we assign. So after assigning, then you know that you will be able to get your reports, because all the people that you assigned you can pull out reports for. But if you don't assign a person to a shift, then you won't be able to get your daily reports. You won't be able to get your weekly reports, also your monthly reports. Okay? So the next thing that you do in order for you to see that really I've assigned this person on this schedule, on this shift, what you do is it's better for you to go to view by person, and then you go to that person that you've assigned the shift to. You'll be able to see here. Can you see that you've assigned this person to this shift from 8 to 5, 8 to 5 for the whole month of March, okay? And then you'll be able to see that this is weekend, this is also weekend. I should have selected a different color there, okay? And then after that, what you're going to do is you go, you can go to your reports now, okay? Then you will be able to calculate and get your reports. But before we do that, I'm going to show you that you can also do a manual log, leave, and also overtime. So if, for example, your device was offline, people came to work, your device was offline, people could not clock in or clock out. You can add a manual log, okay? That is going to be a check-in, check-out, overtime in, overtime out. So what you do here is, it is better for you to go for a bulk add. And then let's say, for example, Cindy here did a clock in today, right? But the device was offline. So what you do is you select punch time, and then you select the day today and select the time. So you can only do a manual log for previous days or a previous time. You cannot do a manual log for something that is going to happen tomorrow. Okay, so let's say this person did clock in at 7, let's say at 7:17. Okay, so you put in there and then you go to check in, right? So you can apply a reason. Device was offline, like that. Okay, and then you click on OK. So you'll be able to see that Cindy, we did a manual log for Cindy because the device was offline. Okay, so it means that this you'll also be able to see on the transactions that the Cindy did a clock in at this time. Okay, so this can also be said if to be automatically approved, or it should wait to be approved by the responsible people. Okay, you can also approve, reject, or revoke. All right, same applies to leave. Also on the leave, you can apply leave for a person. It's still the same way. So you go to bulk add, for example, and then start time. Let's say the leave was is going to be on the 14th, right? Confirm there. And then what is the leave, the pay code there? Is it, let's say it's an annual leave, okay? And then the end time. So I said from the 14th and let's say to the 15th, okay? Confirm, and then you can apply a reason if you have to, but click on confirm, and then that is the leave for that person. You can apply sick leave, a vacation leave, a compassionate leave, etc. Okay, so if you add on the setup, on the pay code, and you add a leave, so you will be able to see that leave when you put in a leave here. Okay, so we also have overtime. So if you have a company that you need to apply for overtime each and every time that you have to work for overtime, you can also add your overtime there. Okay, so let's say Kaya there is applying for an overtime for a weekend, maybe the next weekend, which is the 11th on Saturday. Okay, the start time maybe from, let's say from 7 until the same day at, let's say at 5. Okay, so he's applying for that leave, and the pay code, let's say it's a weekend overtime. Okay, and then click on OK. So if you don't make it auto approved, you just click on confirm, and then it will show you that that is pending, so you can still approve that. If you go there, the responsible people can approve, reject, or revoke. So if you reject like that, you can put in a reason, and then it will show that this has been rejected. You see, okay? So that is approvals, that fall under approvals, okay? So the next thing that we are going to look at is you can also do your schedule adjustment. So schedule adjustment there is, okay, that is if you've scheduled, I've never played around with it. Okay, let's see here. No, I don't think it is working at the meantime because we cannot even, we don't even have anything there, okay? So let me leave that one. And we have another important field, that is the benefit management. This is where you add up your holidays, your different holidays. Remember, we did set up a holiday overtime, but you need to add a holiday, okay? So you can add also a leave group, okay? In a case where, for example, you would like to add people in a group that are supposed to come and work on that holiday. So to add that, you can click on add, and you type in there, let's just say A, B, C, D, okay, confirm. And then you can assign employees there, okay? If you want to select that to assign employees, okay, assign employees, and then let's assign Leah and Lisedi there. Click on confirm, okay? And then if you go to holiday, right, you'll be able to add your different holidays, okay? You can add your different holidays, and you can also assign these people to work for those holidays, okay? Just hold on for me, please. Okay, you can assign those people to work for those holidays. So let's say the name of the holiday, what holiday? Okay, I've added Human Rights Day. Let's say Christmas, okay? This is just an example. Christmas. Okay, and the holiday will be on the 25th of December. 25th of December. So you can add a list of all the holidays that you have there. And then that is the color that will represent my holiday. And the duration is 1 day. Okay, so the overtime rule. Okay, I'm going to set up an overtime rule, but it should be the same as the one that I did set up on the rule. Okay, I'm going to add up, it's going to be a holiday overtime from 0 up until, I think I did put in 8 there. Okay, 8 hours. So they're supposed to work for 8 hours on the Christmas. And when we go to advanced, this is where I can add a group, different group from the groups that I've added that side. So is it going to be for a certain group, or is it going to be for a department? So if I say it's going to be for a group, then if I select contractors, for example, it is only going to be contractors working for that day. And if I select cleaning, for example, so the contractors and the cleaning department will be working on that holiday, okay? And then you click on confirm to save. So you'll be able to see that it is going to be a cleaning department and the contractors that are supposed to work on that particular holiday. Can you see? So if they come and work, then you should be able to see that the person that falls under this group did clock in at this time, and it was counted, or it is counted as overtime. Okay. And then the next thing is the reports. So now we're going to deal with the reports. We have the transaction report. So the transaction report doesn't need you to set up your timetables or assign shifts. These are just transactions that transpired on the software or on the device, okay? So if we select people there, select all of them, and then we confirm. You can confirm for what date, from one date to what date, then you'll be able to see if that was a manual log, was this from the device, was this manual log, was this from the device. So that is the report that you will see, whatever transaction that transpired on the device or on the software. Manually on the software, or was it a clocking from the device? Okay, so you can also select from what date to what date you want to see all the transactions there, and then you'll get the transactions. All these reports can be exported using CSV, PDF, Excel, and text. Okay, so we also have the total, the time card. So the time card will, okay, I'm just going to select for everyone again. It will show you the different times these people clocked in, okay? To show that this person did a clock in at this time, this person did a clock in at this time, on this date. So all the clockings that happen on the date, it will show you that this person clocked in 5 times, this time, this time, this time, and this time. That is what we call a time card. And we have first and last. So the first and last will show you the first clocking and the last clocking, and also the total time in between the first and last. Okay, so if we select these people there, all these people, and then we click on OK. So can you see that it will show you that this person clocked in at this date, time to this time, and then the total hours worked were 7 hours, 29 minutes. The total hours worked were 13 hours, 6 minutes. So it will show you everything that transpired there, the first punch, the last punch, and the total time. Okay, so this is under transactions. And then you have the first and last out. So the first and last out there, if we select all of them there, you'll be able to see the check in and check out and the total time as well. Okay, so this, the first and last, it's mostly the same as first in and last out. Okay, so all the reports starting from here, daily report, weekly report, monthly summary, you need to calculate first. If you do not calculate, then you won't be able to get the reports. Okay, you need to calculate everything for everyone. So I'm just going to calculate for these people here that I've assigned. Okay, so from this date to this date, we'll calculate everything there. Okay, we are done calculating. All about that. Okay, and then after calculating, this is where you can go for your daily report. Okay, we have firstly the total time card. So the total time card there, you can say, I'm just going to select from the 4th of March until today. And then for who and who, I'm just going to select the people that I've just assigned there. This person, and this one. Okay, and then you confirm. So can you see? We have a lot of fields there, but I'm just going to leave the most important fields. You go to the column there, you can remove whatever field you don't want. I don't want the nicknames that have been added. I don't want the last name. I don't want the gender, the department code. I don't want the position code and position. I do not want them there. Okay. The weekday, I do not want it there. Timetable, check in, check out. That is what I want. Duty duration, break duration, work day. Okay. Clock in, clock out. I want that. Okay. Work day, I can remove. And then break out, break in, I'm just going to remove that as well. I don't want that. Okay. Break hours, I can leave. Total hours of break, I can leave that one. Total overtime, I'll leave that one. Rule for total. Okay. Remaining, I don't want. Unscheduled, I do not want. Full attendance, I do not want. Regular, I do not want. So you can remove all the fields that are not necessary. Okay, so I can leave the holiday overtime if you know that people did work on holidays. Okay, compassionate, everything there I do not want. Maternity leave is going to leave that. Okay, and then remove it like that. Can you see now that it is adjusted to whatever I want? So if you also don't want to see the timetables and the department, you can also remove that. Okay, but in this case, we've removed almost everything that we do not want. Total leave. Okay. I saw total leave. I do not want this rule for total overtime. I do not want that as well. Okay. So now we are left with this adjusted columns. Okay. So if you remember, we did set up the time and the overtime. Okay. So in a case where you'll be able to, you'll check here, this person is supposed to work from, let's give this person an example. This person is supposed to work from this time to this time. That is what the timetable says. Okay. But the actual clock in and clock out that this person did is they clocked in at 22 past and clocked out at 2 minutes to 5. Okay. So it will show you the total hours worked. Can you see here? And the worked hours there. Okay. So it shows you the total hours, the worked hours, and it will also show you, it has to show you the total. Let me just expand this. The total overtime, how much overtime did this person work? So it will also show you how many minutes the person worked. And did this person late? Is this late in? I think there was no clock in there. That is why this person is late. Okay. Clock in, clock out. And then it's counted as if this person was late by 60 minutes. Okay. And then early in, is it early out? Yeah. Early out, 2 minutes, because this person left 2 minutes, 2 minutes before, I think, yeah, 2 minutes before the actual clocking out time. So you'll be able to see that if this person was absent, you'll also be able to see that this person was absent for the day. This person worked for overtime. Do we also have weekend overtime? So you can see that these people worked weekend overtime of 7.5. They clocked in from at 29 past 7 and clocked out at this time. So you'll be able to see everything that happened on that day. So they clocked in at 8 and clocked out at this time. So these are the total hours worked. Okay, total hours worked there. And you'll be able to see everything there. So this is the one of the reports that we have, which is called a daily report, which is the total time card. Okay, so work. So you'll also be able to see that. Let's say I'm going to select the same people again. So this will be worked hours per day. Okay, I'm just going to say from the 4th until the 8th. Okay, so you'll be able to see how many hours a person worked on a particular day. Okay, Monday, how many hours did this person work? Monday, this date. Tuesday, this date, how many hours did she work? Wednesday, Saturday, she worked overtime there. You can see Monday again, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you'll be able to see that these people worked how many hours on a particular day. Okay, you also have your overtime report. So your overtime report will also give you or show you that this person did work overtime. If they did work overtime, if they didn't work overtime, then you won't be able to see that. Okay, I'm just going to do that from the 4th until the 8th. Okay, so you search. Okay, so you'll see the overtime day. Each and every day, the overtime that they worked. How many hours did they work? 4 hours. Okay, normal overtime, 4 hours day, 4, 0.6, 0.6. So this is how you set your reports. So these are the reports that you will get. So you need to get a report that you like or you want to work with. Your leave report, early, late in, early out. So you'll see all these kind of reports that we have. Weekly report, monthly report. So we have a lot of reports that you can play around with and see how they look like. Okay. But in a case where people are clocking in and clocking out every day, obviously you will get your reports and you have your summary report as well, your employee overtime, you will be able to see that. Employee attendance, you will be able to see that as well. Okay. And then you have, let's say, okay, let's go there. Okay. So on the summary overtime, employee overtime under the summary report, you have this total overtime that a person worked. Okay. So you'll be able to see this 4.7, 7.5, that is the weekend overtime. So for the holiday overtime, you'll see that this person did not work for any of this overtime. And also you can remove this if you want to do so. You can remove the overtimes that you do not want to see because you did not set them up like that. Okay, like this. And then you're left with this, which you can also export. If you can export this by using Excel, this is what you're going to see. So if I can open this for you so that you can see. Okay, looks like. Okay. Okay, so this is how it looks like. You see, employee overtime, this is Excel. This is how you see person worked for overtime, weekend overtime. These are the people who worked for weekend overtime. And the holiday overtime, they did not work. So this is basically the reports that we have. You can play around with the reports and see which report works best for you. Okay. So do we have any questions? Okay. Okay. So if we go back to the agenda, I think I've covered almost everything there. Okay. The reports there, you just have to play around with the reports and download them and see how they work. Okay. So is there anything else that you would like me to explain that you would like to know on the software? Okay. So if you follow everything that I've given you, you won't have problems when it comes to your reporting side. You just have to follow the steps. And also, different companies have different shifts and also hours that they're supposed to work. So you just have to make sure that you gather all the information before you do a setup. Then you'll be able to get your reports properly, because I think this is where people struggle a lot under the attendance part. Okay, but you just have to follow the steps, and then I'll be able to also send you the video of the recording now, so that when you maybe forgot something, then you have something to refer to. Okay, so I would like to thank you so much for attending the morning training and this afternoon training. I really appreciate that. If you encounter any problems, please do not hesitate to send me an email. We can log in if you're stuck, and we can assist you. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. Do enjoy the rest of your day. I will send you the recording of ZK Biosecurity and this afternoon training that we had now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Thank you.